Well, our line is going to start here somewhere, and then it's just going to be straight to the other side of the island, about 16 kilometres. So we don't know how long it's going to take us, maybe a day, maybe two.
I mean, you've already skipped out the start of it, so...
What do you mean we skipped out the start of it?
Further forward, there's land.
That is the sea, and we shall taste it to prove it.
Are you going to start down those rocks?
Yes. It's the sea. That is the sea, the open sea. And 16 kilometres that way is more open sea, and we shall be there in 1 or 2 days' time. 1 or 2 working days. Hello, welcome back to the channel, where today I will be attempting my first ever straight line mission with my erstwhile colleague and dependable miscreant, Jacob Baresca. A straight line mission is exactly what it sounds like. First made popular by GeoWizard, you have to attempt to cross a country, or in this case an island, in an entirely straight line. For our first attempt at this mission, we're going to the far north of Scotland in the Isle of Skye, having picked a route that is about 17 kilometres in total. We'll be using the standard GeoWizard scoring metric to determine the quality of our straight line mission, that being that 25 metres away from the line or less is a platinum run, less than 50 metres will be a gold run, less than 75 will be a silver run, and less than 100 metres will be a bronze run. More than 100 metres we will have failed. And with all that out of the way, let's head back to the video and see how we get on.
I wasn't worried about I had to patch up my raincoat.
Did you just put tape on it?
Bye.
Have fun!
Can we get that?
First challenge.
Absolute idiots, Kelly, aren't they?
Oh, I've already nearly sacked it. It's okay. This is not on the line. We haven't started just yet. That is the sea. If it's not salty, I mean,
I'll lie.
just lie.
It's a bit salty. It's not as salty as I was expecting.
That's good enough for me.
On the line.
Wonderful. So, looks like that way to me. Lead on. How hard can it be, really?
Like this might be the hardest.
And just like that, we were off. Given that we'd only spent about an hour the night before planning the route, we really didn't have much of an idea of what was in store for us. We just had a couple of inklings about a forest and a couple of river crossings. Soon enough, however, we were sure to find out. Which part of this route are you most apprehensive about?
It's gotta be the forest. I could like grind up into a hole.
We've a couple of river crossings, but I'm hopeful that they're not too bad.
I think once you've accepted, you're gonna get wet.
Yeah, we're not going to get swept away, I don't think. I really don't think we're going to have any trouble from farmers or anything today.
This is the only opportunity for
Yeah, pretty much the only 2 houses en route until we get to the very end.
It's too late. You
Yeah.
can't stop us. We are inevitable.
They can't stop all of us. Say the line, Baresca. We've got to go in a straight line.
I'm really sorry.
We've got to go in a straight line. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
We did see a sign warning us about feral goats, so we will have to watch out for those. Oh, look at this. Are we on the line still? Bang on. Nice. It's like made to be. Okay. Nice. Having successfully negotiated a path around 2 out of only 3 buildings that we would see all day, we were feeling pretty confident in the first hour or so. Aside from this small craggy outcrop that we had to climb down, the route hadn't presented much incident so far, and we were just out on open moorland. Apart from getting very wet feet very early on, this really didn't present too much of a challenge, and we could make steady progress, always making sure to stick near the line.
My feet getting soft. Not that I know.
This ground is not as solid as it looks, it's very spongy underfoot. Okay, we're back on the line. It's gone a little bit left. And the next obstacle is going to be getting up that crag, isn't it?
A bit grassy there.
I think we're going just to the end of it, so we might be lucky. Serendipity or good planning for me. I'll let you decide which. Yeah, this little one here is exactly on the line. It's quite tall actually, isn't it?
6 feet.
More than 6 feet. Looks like.
Yeah, because I mean I'm 6'5". So.
Okay. I'll just shut that over. You made this look so easy.
Honestly, I think by the big post might be better.
You are.
The big post was supporting me.
I just stood on my right side. You made that look really easy, man.
Big post, good.
Although one of us had managed to climb over the first deer fence of the day much more successfully than the other, I was to get lots of practice by the end as there were many more to come. Despite me not being able to get my bag or myself over with any dignity, however, we still had lots of confidence as it had been relatively easy so far this morning. We ploughed onwards into the bleak moorland and soon the ground became boggier and boggier.
Yeah, that's bang on our line.
Still on it. Yeah.
Let's hope for less of these because we don't have swim stuff. A little bit left. No, we just drifted a little bit right there. This really feels like the dead marshes in Lord of the Rings. They have that like jump scare when Frodo gets pulled in. That scene shat me up as a kid, honestly. That was so scary. I didn't realise you were going to commit to the bit. The ground is soft and spongy. Yeah, it's very spongy. I'm sinking a lot. I want a little bit more right. Ooh, that looks jumpable. What do you reckon? Okay. Nice. Very nice. Well done.
And so this is how I used to do steeplechase.
The lonely moor was crisscrossed with very small streams that we had to jump every now and again, which made for an admittedly easy but interesting obstacle. So far on this wide exposed moor it had been very easy to stay within 25 metres of our line. The only difficulty, for me at least, was climbing fences.
You can see our next fence that we have to climb over, but we can't climb over it just yet.
We are probably about 15 metres left at this point. Head here and then I would go up to the right.
Big post, good.
Oh, that is slick. I think you're actually better on the wire.
Alright. It's actually not too bad.
Beer back. Check.
Hybrid games.
You make these look so easy. Very nice.
Okay, onwards and upwards.
Up here and then into the forest.
We are a little over a third of the way and at the highest point. And it's been a decent distance, really, hasn't it? We should be able to see the forest fairly soon. Inshallah, it's all been cut down.
Eventually, however, we came to the first obstacle that made us deviate from our line.
Oh, that's deep. Yeah, that's deep.
It was at this point I fell in the swamp.
What are you doing in my swamp?
It's not, there are bits of it which are a little bit deep there. I feel a lot better about doing this to two people. Do you know what I mean? It's nice. Like this would be kind of sketchy by yourself, wouldn't it really?
Luckily, this deviation, while significant, had not been too large, and at 23 metres away from the line, we were still on course for a platinum run.
It's definitely the most tricky bit we've had to navigate so far. Oh, that's a good view. Yeah. See what else I can see opening up. Ooh, that's big, and it starts sooner than we think. It was inevitable. We knew this was going to happen. I think what is kind of making me apprehensive is that we just have no idea how slow it's going to be. Neither of us have any experience with this. I have very limited experience with this. It wasn't fun.
Nice little descent down to the pub. Nah. It's just a straight line. It's like a straight line mission at this point. All of this shite.
It could just be very, very painful, slow going.
This is what will make or break it to be 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think so. But having said that, if it is a 2-day mission, what a lovely place to camp that will be. And it's not even 12:30 yet, so we do have like over 5 hours of daylight.
If this forest is hard going, it's going to justify it.
Somewhere in my parents' garage there is an African tiger, which I've failed to bring.
That's our route. First impressions.
Doesn't look the nicest, does it?
4 long kilometres stood between us and the end of this forest of imposing pine trees, any given area of which we knew could immediately end our dreams of a platinum run. As we began our slow assault on the first of many, many pine trees that we would face that day, our minds invariably began to wonder how long this was going to take us.
He's disappeared. He's disappeared, ladies, gentlemen and NBs. Oh, Jesus, man. Okay. It's opened up a little bit. Mate, I've already totally lost my bearings.
Mercifully, it seemed that 90% of the trees in the forest did not have verdant green branches, but dead, brittle ones that could be snapped away with the slightest touch. This made the progress through the forest much easier. On the other hand, the tall trees made it very difficult for the GPS to pinpoint our exact position, leading to a lot of overcorrection and a lot of extra meters walked. Despite this, we were still on for a platinum run, and therefore we could focus our minds on enjoying the beautiful, ethereal forest surroundings without another soul in sight.
Oh, I like these trees. I also like these mushrooms. They're excellent. This could be a hell of a lot worse, couldn't it, really? There have been a few bits which have not been ideal, but nothing horrific. Actually, we're reaching the end of this one. Yeah, the GPS is suffering a little bit, but that's the only real problem we've had. It's getting out is the hard bit, isn't it? Getting in and out. Well, I have to say getting out is definitely easier than going in, because the branches sort of direct you.
Look at what the universe has done for us now.
I guess because the forest is planted in those perfect rows that we saw, and it just so happens that it's on our bearing. Or is it? No, shit, it was too good to be true. It's in the perfect right angles. Maybe we could crab back and forth. It's like driving in Milton Keynes.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
Ooh, that's a deep marshmallow. That's deep, hang on. That's like a trampoline. What? I feel like I'm on a level in Mario or something.
We emerged from the first of the forest into a picturesque clearing, our spirits buoyed by the fact that the sun was now poking its way through the clouds, the early morning gloom having lifted.
Baresca is just filling up his water. It's going very well so far. We've seen the sun for the first time today. The forest so far has been genuinely alright. We've done about 400 metres of forest, maybe 2.5 more K to go. So I think we're feeling pretty optimistic. Very good progress so far. Very, very good.
So far, the promised obstacle of the forest had not been too bad, and despite only having covered about 400 metres of woodland so far, we remained quietly optimistic about the rest of the challenges that we'd have to face in the forest that afternoon. Before any of that, however, we had another deer fence to clamber over. And after successfully negotiating the deer fence, we found ourselves back within the dense midst of the forest. Having still not strayed more than 25 metres from the line, it was still a platinum run at this point, and despite finding ourselves with lots of low-hanging branches to contend with, they were very brittle and snapped off at the slightest touch, making this section of the forest a breeze to pass through.
Yeah, it's like when they've got the green leaves on them, they're really twangy. I'm always amazed how quickly it changes as well. I really like these mossy ones.
In time, we temporarily left the forest again and found ourselves this time on an old logging track. Clearings and primitive gravelled roads such as these crisscrossed the entirety of the forest, making for brief but gorgeous moments of respite. All too soon, however, we found ourselves once again enveloped by the canopy of trees. This time, however, we were pleasantly surprised to discover that the trees had grown massive, and we were easily able to navigate around their trunks without any pesky low-hanging branches twanging us back in the face and impeding our progress.
Oh no, this is what I'm talking about, these big trees. This is awesome.
Luck continued to smile on us as we approached the halfway stage of the forest, and we still found ourselves surrounded by those tall trees which was so easy to navigate around. In fact, the only challenge we had was keeping up with the slightly wayward GPS, which seemed to lurch from place to place within the forest, particularly in these tall trees. Happily though, the biggest deviation that it showed was a mere 24 metres, still just within the platinum zone. We knew, however, that there'd be sterner tests up ahead, and one of them was coming up in just a few moments' time.
It is quite big. There's a big drop is the main thing. See, we are exactly on the line, so we can go left or right. I think maybe try going over those rocks there. Shall we see how far we stray? To me that looks less than 25. I don't know how deep that is. Could be too far. I think that will be too far. Let's see how hard this is. Let's go down. We are about, it's hard to say, about 20 metres offline. This is the best crossing we're going to get, because we don't know how deep this is, and we can see the bottom here, so I think we've got to go for it.
Unfortunately, whilst our caution had allowed us to cross the river with relative ease, it had also led us 29 metres away from the line and out of the platinum zone for the first time. We were now looking at a gold run. Unaware and undeterred by this information, however, we continued onwards, our spirits still high.
We're not quite out of the woods yet, but it's pretty close now. We're just converging on the line again. This is a treat, this is. I will never take a road for granted ever again.
Do you think that stretch along the trek when we did the no road session was our slowest mission split ever?
It could be. It could well be. Oh, one of those just went on my nose. Oh god.
Up until this point, we had made slow but steady progress through the forest, having covered about 3.5 kilometres in the last 2.5 hours. That was about to change, however, as we were soon confronted with our most insurmountable obstacle so far, a huge swathe of fallen trees. Believing that we could still be on for a platinum run at this point, we tried to carefully scout left and right of the line, trying to find a path through this tangled mess of woodland. We spent a frustrated 10 minutes trying to pick our path through this maze of fallen trees, and we were eventually reduced to crawling through a stream underneath the moss-covered trunks of these mighty pines.
No, that's a no-go. That is a no-go. Maybe follow the river. It's a bit better. We're a little bit right, so it's possible to go left. Ooh, how are your plums?
Not only did the fallen trees represent an obstacle in the sense that they were just large and difficult to go around, their trunks were also covered in a thick layer of wet, slippery moss, which made it very difficult to stand on them without falling over. This meant the easiest way to go around them was to go underneath them, but that was easier said than done.
Jesus, man. Maybe down through here. I think we've had to deviate probably about 30 metres from the line, because we've been climbing over and under all of this, and it's taken just ages because it's absolutely impassable. We've just kind of reached the end of it now, but the problem is all these fallen trees. So I think the platinum dream could be dead. We're still on for gold though, almost certainly. And the good news is we're almost at the end of the forest. How dirty and drained do you feel? Disgusting.
I've definitely got trench foot.
Is it contagious? Right, out of this accursed forest, please. See, this is what I mean. Like, am I going over this or under this? It's just like,
Really a winner.
no. Let's see. Let's just go around it here. Like, but this is straying further from the line. This is the problem.
We've had it so good for so long.
We did, yeah. The forest was kind to us for a while, but it's a cruel mistress. Just when we nearly finished, it shafts us at the worst possible time. This river marks the end of the forest. Thank God it's not deep or fast flowing. And one last fence and then we're free. Oh, thank God it's not a big one.
After 4 kilometres and over 3 hours, we were finally out of the forest for good, and I think it's fair to say that it had taken its toll on us both physically and mentally.
Can you give us a synopsis of the last, let's say, hour?
Oh, hell. It was pretty good going. I thought everything was fine in the forest. And then, yeah, just swathes of fallen trees covered in slime, crawling through the dirt.
Yeah, we were literally crawling at times. It was horrible. But not even just like hands and knees, but slithering like Danny DeVito.
God, what the hell did you do to yourself?
I just wanna be pure.
And then you get out of it and you're met with the sight of a pretty fucking steep mountain that you have to climb. But now, flatness.
Yeah, I'm certainly feeling a lot more optimistic. I'm feeling a lot more jubilant than I was in the forest because it really sapped your spirit the last few 100 metres in there.
You don't really know if the direction you're going is taking you like towards somewhere worse. Or...
Yeah. I'm also convinced that we did double the distance in the forest because the GPS it's been pretty excellent, but it was having a tough time locating us in the forest with the tall trees.
Yeah, I've done a lot of wandering.
We're doing a lot of overcompensation either side. Thought it would be 10 kilometres by the time we were out. It turned out it was more like 11. However, there is only 1 more kilometre of forest after this moorland and it's downhill until we reach that point. Long may this continue. We can just make out the sea far off in the distance. I think we're still heading for that sort of very tabletop looking peak over there. It's called Duncairn. We're not climbing up that pointy boy. It's down this one, up the one in the foreground, and then down to the sea.
It now looked as though our mission would take only 1 day rather than 2, although our stately pace meant that we would have to finish it in the dark. We still, however, had another forest to face as well as our biggest river crossing so far, and keen to get these out of the way in the light, we made quick progress down the hill in order to face both of these challenges head on.
Good news, this forest is just a few lonely pine trees. Most of it has been deforested, which has significantly improved my day. It's still slow going, but it's significantly easier than it otherwise would be, just having to weave in and out of the stumps. We still will have to go through the forest on the far side. After that forest, it's that hill down and then it's the sea. You have the biggest river yet to cross.
At this point, I'm really not worried about river crossing.
No, we've already got double trench foot. Had to deviate a little bit so we didn't plummet to our demises. So I think the 20-ish metre deviation was probably worth it.
We were significantly buoyed by the fact that 50% of the forest that we thought we would have to battle our way through had already been cut down, and therefore we were able to meet our most dangerous obstacle, the fast-flowing River Varragill, in the light just before sunset, rather than attempt to ford it in the dark.
Last river, and it's the biggest so far. Trying to assess where we can cross. We are right of the line at the moment by probably cutting it very fine, about 25 metres. But luckily left looks better than right anyway. We're not going to get swept away, I don't think. Yeah. It doesn't get deeper.
I said I wouldn't wade anything deeper than my nose.
Yes! 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 Spent about half an hour trying to pick this route. It was very deep in places, but we have successfully made it. Oh, put it there. Come on, let's go meet the girls.
Fording the Varragill had proved our costliest deviation so far at 34 metres, but as neither of us had been swept away, we didn't really care.
This is the line. That was a very sketchy river crossing, to be honest. It didn't go up to our nads though, so it's okay.
Having decided that our mission was now going to be only a one-dayer, we offloaded our backpacks containing the tents to CB and Kelly, and, our loads considerably lightened, we headed once more onto the breach and the last of the forest that we'd have to face that day.
We're a little bit just ever so slightly to the right, so we kind of want to just be going here, I think. Well, it feels very good to bin the rucksacks. I already feel better about that. Fortunately, the sun is probably going to set in about 15 minutes or so, and we still have an hour and a half. Well, we'll see.
The sun had now set and we could see in the last of the failing light the last hill that we would have to climb that day. Knowing that only Moorland stood between us and the sea a few short kilometres away now, we were jubilant in the fact that we were convinced this would now be a gold mission for sure. We summited the final hill to see that night was well and truly upon us.
The night is almost upon us. The sun set probably about half an hour ago now. So it's head torches on for the final 2 kilometres, or less than 2 kilometres now. Let's be optimistic and say an hour.
Soon enough, while enjoying a well-deserved break, we finally caught a glimpse of what we'd been waiting to see since we set off that morning.
You guys can't see, we can see our first glimpse of the sea, which is now 1.6 kilometres away. Still up on these lonely moors.
The moors? The barren moors? The moors
Moors.
We could easily die on a moor.
Okay, final river crossing. It doesn't look too bad.
For us veterans of the Varragill River, however, this small stream posed no serious threat to the mission or our lives, thankfully, and we were soon across it, and with less than a kilometre to go, we soon began to savour the victory.
Spooky forest time. We're about 800 metres from the end. 2 laps of a track, and it really doesn't feel like that. It feels like this forest might extend to Norway.
In the disorientating darkness, it really was hard to believe that a few hundred metres away lay the sea, our destination for the end of the mission. But, according to the map, it was definitely there.
Would you like to know how close we are to the sea? It's about 200 metres. Does it feel like 200 metres from the sea? It feels like we're in the middle of Sherwood Forest. Yes, there's no sea for thousands of miles around. But no, according to this liar of a map, it is just over here. House is the closest we've been to civilization today. Unbelievably, there is a gate on our line. I think this is it. Dude, I think this is it. Oh my god, we've made it. That's a beach. That is a beach, that is seaweed. Thank fuck for that. I'm now standing in it. I'm standing in the sea. Is it salty? Yeah. Again, not that salty. You're right. But it is. We've made it. Put it there, bud. Straight line across the Isle of Skye. Jesus Christ. What a lovely sight.
No, we saw we would get here and we were like, nice.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Delightful. And we've got a campsite for you.
And just like that, we completed our first straight line mission across the Isle of Skye. Gold standard achieved.
Well, first and foremost, we've got to say thank you to support crew.
None of this would have been possible without you.
I don't think this was really explained, but they did an excellent job in taking our rucksacks off us so we could do the last couple of kilometres really easily.
Yeah. Sorry about that. It was
Mainly
mainly.
sweatbacks, bog.
It was. I was going to say it was mainly forest slime. Right?
Best bit, nearly dying in the street. Worst bit, fallen tree.
I feel like you guys were waiting for us for ages as well.
Actually, I'm going to revise my best bit. Realising I didn't need to walk back up that hill to the road.
yes.
Because you guys had arrived at the sea for us.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Drove
really nice.
into the sea for you.
I mean, it was your good planning with the route as well that there was a road nearby.
They did not plan that, Bella. They did not plan that.
It worked out well.
It was significantly harder than I thought it was going to be. Did you think the same thing as well?
Perpetually underestimating this kind of thing.
I think there was a moment where you were just like, oh, I really wish I'd done a bit more endurance, like practice or training. Was the thought of doing a second day like, no, fuck that.
I think a second day would be fun, given the right weather, but I think I could actually do some training before doing this kind of thing.
I feel like a lot of the time when you go to the gym as well, you're like, nah, don't need to do cardio.
What should the next thing be then? More ambitious?
So I'm a proponent of introducing a new medium of travel. A boat should be involved in crossing an obstacle that would be previously uncrossable to us.
Yeah, exactly.
The channel.
Like
Take you
parts
to
of that
France.
river.
Straight line mission to France.
Straight into France incoming.